ये अनिलो प्रेम धना करुणा प्रचुर ये अनिलो प्रेम धना करुणा प्रचुर कोता गेला हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर अनिलो प्रेम धना करुणा प्रचुर करुणा प्रचुर हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर प्रभु कोथा गेला हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर मोरा स्वरूप रूपा कहा सनाता मोर स्वरूप रूपा कहा सनाता कहा दास रघुनाथ पतित पावन कहा दास रघुनाथ पतित पावन अनिलो प्रेम धना करुणा जय अनिलो प्रेम धना करुणा हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर हेनो प्रभु कोथा गेला आचार्य ठाकुर Amor bhatta juga kabira Amor bhatta yuga kaha kabira Eka kale kotha gela gaura natara Eka kale kotha gela Eka kale kotha gela gaura natara Anilo premadana karuna pratu Anilo premadana karuna pratu Heno Prabhu kotha gela charya thakur Heno Prabhu kotha gela Heno Prabhu kotha gela charya thakur Ajane Bodhibo Mata Ajane Pashibo Ajane Bodhibo Mata Ajane Pashibo Gauranga gunera nidhe kotha gele pavo Gauranga gunera nidhe Gauranga gunera nidhe kotha gele pavo Anilo premadana karuna pratu Anilo premadana karuna pratu Heno Prabhu kotha gela charya thakur Heno Prabhu kotha gela charya thakur Sangira sange koilo bila Sangira sange koilo bila Kesava Sangaya Kande Narottamada Sangana Paya Kande Narottamada Yani Eno Prabhu Kotha Gela Chaya Eno Prabhu Kotha Gela Chaya Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur, Vaishnava Thakur, Jaya Vaishnava Thakur. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Oh, the translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone?
Where are my Sarup Damodara and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunatha Dasa, the savior of the fallen?
Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta, and where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go?
I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities?
Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottamadas simply weeps.
So today being the disappearance of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, after our reading from the Bhagavatam, we will be hearing something about his pastimes. Now bicycles are coming in also. Yeah, I think it's high time we do something. Okay. Well, can't help Bhagavatam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunj Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Madhava Kunj Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Manachari. Yamuna Tira Manachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
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 Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Oh, the Jai Vishupad Paramahamsa. Hari Vraj Gachajasto Tarasatya Sri Samad, His Divine Grace. Chalaboy Charan Narpan Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Nampa Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Skandi Viti, Founder Sri Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki
Jai.
Samava Tamak Vrinda Ki
Jai.
Transcendental Buddhist Distribution Ki Jai Gaur Ki
Hari Hari.
All values to be some of the devotees, all values to be some of the devotees, all values to be some of the devotees. All values to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all values to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurvanditam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manogistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sahajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Radita Sri Shakanvitam Scha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Idam Bhagavatam Nama
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Puranam Brahma Samhitam
Shloka Charitam
Uttama Charitam
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Chakara Bhagavan Rishi
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Nishreyasaya Lokasya
Dhanyam Swasyayanam Maha.
Dhanyam Shasyayanam Maha.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Granthara, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Karoti Vachalam Tvam Purnagayate Yatkripat Vande Shri Guru Jagataranam Yatkripat Vande Shri Guru Jagataranam Hare Krishna. We are continuing to read from the second canto of the Bhagavatam, chapter number 2, entitled, the marker got changed.
Oh,
Jump
I
chapter 7 from chapter 2 to chapter 7. Chapter 2, chapter 2, the Lord in the Heart, text number
16. 16. 1-6.
116. Okay, 116. I mean, 16. Okay. Manaha
Swa
Bhujyamalaya
Buddhyamalaya
Niyamya
Niyamya Kshetrajna Etam Ninayet
Tam
Tam
Atmani
Atmani Atmanam Atmani Avarudhya
Dhiro
Dhiro
Labdho Pashantir
Labdho Pashanti
Viramita
Viramita Krityat
Manasabhudya Malaya Niyamya
Manasa Buddhya Malaya Niyamya
Kshetragna Etam Ninayat Tamatmani
Kshetrajna Etam Ninayat Tamatmani
Atmanam Atmanyavarudya Dhiro
Atmanam Atmanyavarudhya Dhiro
Labdho Prashantir Virameta Krityat
Labdho Pashantir Virametya Kritya
Manasabhudya Malayaniyamya
Manasa Buddhya Nayamya
Kshetragna Etam Ninayat tamatmani.
Kshetragnayetam ninayetam-atmani.
Atmanam atmanyavarudya dhiro.
Atmanam-atmanyavaruddhya dhiro.
Labdho pashantir virame krityat.
Labdho pashantir-virameta krityat.
Manasabudhya malaya niyamya.
Manasa-buddhya malaya niyamya.
Kshetrajna etam ninayat tamatmani.
Kshetragnayetam ninayetam-atmani.
Atmanam atmanavarudya dhiro.
Atmanam-atmanyavaruddhya dhiro.
Labdho pashantir virame krityat.
Labdho pashantir-virametya krityat.
Manasabudhya malayaliyamya.
Manasa-buddhya malaya niyamya.
Gyayatam niyayatam-atmani.
Kshetragnayetam ninayetam-atmani.
Anumatmanya-varudhya dhiro.
Atmanam-atmanyavaruddhya dhiro.
Pasanter-virameta kritya.
Labdho pashantir-virametya krityat. Manasvabudhya malaya niyamya.
Manasabudhya malaya niyamya.
Kshetragnayetam ninayetam-atmani.
Kshetrajna etam ninayatamatmani.
Atmanam-atmanyavaruddhya dhiro.
Atmanamatvanyavadutya dhiro.
Labdho pashantir-virametya krityat.
Labdho pashanti virameta krityat.
Manaha,
The mind.
the mind.
Sabudhya.
Sabudhya,
By his own intelligence.
by his own intelligence.
Amalaya.
Amalaya,
Unalloyed.
unalloyed.
Niyamya.
Niyamya,
By regulating.
by regulating.
Kshetrajna.
Kshetragni,
Unto the living entity.
unto the living entity.
Etam.
Etam,
All of them.
all of them.
Ninayat.
Inayet,
Merge.
merge.
Tam.
Tam,
That.
that.
Atmani.
Atmani,
The self.
the self.
Atmanam.
Atmanam,
The self.
the self.
Atmani.
Atmani,
In the super self.
in the super self.
Avarudhya.
Avarudhya,
Being locked up.
being locked up.
Dhiraha.
Dhiraha,
The fully satisfied.
the fully satisfied.
Labdha upashantihi.
Labdha upashantihi,
One who has attained the full bliss.
one who has attained full bliss.
Virameta.
Virameta,
Ceases from.
ceases from.
Krityat.
Kritya,
All other activities.
all other activities.
Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Yeah.
Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing this, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in the supreme stage of satisfaction so that he ceases from all other activities. Kind of repeat after me. Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind
The yogi should merge his mind
by his unalloyed intelligence
by his unalloyed intelligence
into the living entity
into the living entity
and then merge the living entity
and then merge the living entity
into the super self.
into the super self.
And by doing this,
And by doing this,
the fully satisfied living entity
the fully satisfied living entity
becomes situated
becomes situated
in the supreme stage of satisfaction
in the supreme stage of satisfaction
so that he ceases
so that he ceases
from all other activities.
from all other activities.
Purport: the functions of the mind are thinking, feeling, and willing. When the mind is materialistic or absorbed in material contact, it acts for material advancement of knowledge, destructively ending in discovery of nuclear weapons. When the mind acts under spiritual urge, it acts wonderfully for going back home, back to Godhead. For life in complete bliss and eternity. Therefore, the mind has to be manipulated by good and unalloyed intelligence. Perfect intelligence is to render service unto the Lord. One should be intelligent enough to understand that the living being is, in all circumstances, a servant of the circumstances. In all circumstances, a servant of the circumstances. Every living being is serving the dictates of desire, anger, lust, illusion, insanity, and enviousness, all materially affected. But even while executing such dictations of different temperaments, he is perpetually unhappy. When one actually feels this and turns his intelligence to inquiring about it from the right sources, he gets information of the transcendental loving service of the Lord instead of serving materially. For the above mentioned different humors of the body, the living entity's intelligence then becomes freed from the unhappy illusion of materialistic temperament, and thus, by unalloyed intelligence, the mind is brought into the service of the Lord. The Lord and his service are identical, being on the absolute plane. Therefore, the unalloyed intelligence and the mind are merged into the Lord, and thus the living entity does not remain a seer himself, but becomes seen by the Lord transcendentally. When the living entity is directly seen by the Lord dictates to him to act according to his desire, the Lord's desire. And when the living entity follows him, the Lord, perfectly, the living entity ceases to discharge any other duty for his illusory satisfaction. In his pure, unalloyed state, the living being attains the stage of full bliss, labdho pashanti, and ceases all material hankerings. Translation again. Thereafter, the yogi should merge his mind by his unalloyed intelligence into the living entity, and then merge the living entity into the super self. And by doing so, the fully satisfied living entity becomes situated in a supreme state of satisfaction, so that he ceases from all other activities. And in this regards, there is very appropriate instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is uh, our constant source of reference here. And this is from, yes, the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna actually presents Krishna with his problem of the mind. And in answer to Arjuna's question, Krishna explains very nicely the same point that is being mentioned here, actually, in this verse. A series of verses that begin approximately, yeah, the last few verses. Actually, the most important verse is the last one, 343. 343. Evam buddhe param buddva
Evam buddhe param buddva
samstabhyat manamatmana
samstabhyad namatmana
jahi shatrum mahabaho
jahi shatrum mahabaho
kama rupam durasadam.
kama rupam durasadam.
Translation and purport. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, in brackets, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. And there's a short purport that we'll read. This third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is conclusively directive to Krishna consciousness by knowing oneself as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without considering impersonal voidness the ultimate end. In the material existence of life, one is certainly influenced by propensities for lust and desire for dominating the resources of material nature. Desire for overlording and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned soul. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind, and the intelligence. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in a transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind, by steady intelligence directed toward one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man toward spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence, the higher self. Um, so we have so many examples of such personalities who have lived their lives in that higher consciousness. One of them is Srila Vrindavan Thakur.
I just put it in.
Yeah, and since today is his disappearance, we will be hearing a little bit something. When we hear about such personalities, uh, it should give us some hope that we are not hopeless, that there is all possibilities for all of us to get out of this, what's it called? Mire?
MIRE.
M-I-R-E.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or MYRE also.
Or M-I-R or M-I-R-E.
Yeah.
This mire of, what's the actual meaning of mire? Like,
Stuck in. Let me just say correctly.
this mire of ignorance. It's like, what is it? Web.
Boggy ground.
Boggy ground.
It's like swamp.
Insecure, unsteady.
A stretch of swampy or boggy ground.
Huh?
A stretch of swampy or boggy ground.
Okay. Coming back to our Vrindavan Das Thakur. So Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, his Sripat is in Benur, which is bird one. other living entities. We don't see a squirrel this morning so far. Okay. Oh, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur is the original Vyasadeva of Mahaprabhu's Leela. His spiritual master was none other than Lord Nityananda, the Adi Guru himself. Being empowered by his guru, Srila Vrindavan Das has narrated an amazing, heart-rending biographical account of Lord Chaitanya's divine mood and his exalted pastimes in his composition Sri Chaitanya Bhagavatam, which is today one of the most revered books of our Gaudiya Sampradaya. Krishna Lile Bhagavate Kahe Veda Vyasa.
Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kahe Veda Vyasa.
Chaitanya Lila Vyasa Vrindavan Dasa.
Chaitanya Lila Vyasa Vrindavana Dasa.
From the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 834. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, founder Acharya of the Gaudiya Maths, has greatly the comma is not in the right place. Has greatly glorified Srila Vrindavan Das in his Chaitanya Bhagavat purports. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta writes that Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur's love and devotion toward his spiritual master, Nityananda Prabhu, is simply incomparable. He mentions how Vrindavan Das was a topmost teacher of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy and how he constantly engaged himself with all his mind, body, and words in preaching the glories of the Vaishnava Acharyas. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has also sung great glories of this towering personality. In one of the initiation lectures in Boston, God, Boston needs a capital B, yeah? Prabhupada mentions how Vrindavan Das Thakur is one of the great acharyas of our Gaudiya Sampradaya and how we should all pray for his causeless mercy. And this is the short quote. Sri Kavi Karnapura reveals in his Gona Ganadesha Dipika that Srila Vedavyas incarnated as Vrindavan Das Thakur in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Krishna's friend Kusamapida also entered into him for special purposes. The Gaudiya Treasures of Bengal has covered the birth and the early pastimes of
they have this is like they have another article of Nityanand Prabhu, so they're linking.
Oh, I see. That's the link is there.
Below
Okay.
it is.
We won't go there. We'll just continue here. Yeah. So there's many things. Continuing here.
Srila Vrindavan.
Hey. Oh. Hey. Hey. Come on. You should have some bricks. Hut. 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 They don't understand hut. Throw something. Hut. Hut. He thinks you're playing. You don't know how to throw. Srila Vrindavan Thakur had reached his youth at a time when there was a vacuum in the whole of the Gaudiya Vaishnava community. The Lord and his associates had already disappeared by then. After having concluded their pastimes and others. It was a time when the smarta brahmanas were on the rise. It was their time. A smarta brahmana is one who is only interested in material gains and considers the karma kanda instead of the bhakti kanda section of the Vedas to be the highest truth. These smartas tried various ways and means to discredit the essence of pure devotional service, spreading hatred and passing derogatory remarks about Lord Nityananda, Lord, my Lord, preaching wrong philosophies that contradict Vaishnavism, spreading false rumors about Vrindavan Das Thakur and his family were some of their many dirty tricks. What are they doing here? Our park is not open yet. He's coming back. Hey, hey, what? Hey, you throw. You show them that you're not happy. Can't you be unhappy for something? Hey, they look very healthy. That means you're good. Yeah, that one. Throw. Yeah, don't throw like that. You don't know what it means. Prue, you take that stick. Bamboo. Oh, bamboo. Prabhu. Haribol. Hey. No. Yes. Okay.
By this time.
By this time, the Smartas and the pseudo devotees had already taken control of many of the sacred pastime places. In some places, even began worshipping Ma Kali, keeping her on the same pedestal as the Supreme Lord. My God. But in spite of their several attempts and personal attacks, these people were utterly unsuccessful in discouraging Srila Vrindavan Das, who, being empowered by the mercy of his Guru, continued serving the Lord and his devotees enthusiastically. 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 Those who read and relish, those who read. Hey, yeah, just show them what it means to, take a good solid piece of whatever. Go after him. Ah, ah. You have to practice. You miss him. Okay. Those who read and relish Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat will surely understand how the Thakur was instrumental in preserving the timeless teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the essence of bhakti at a time when pure devotional service was partly covered by the dense cloud of philosophical deviations. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur was born on the Krishna Dwadashi Tithi in the month of Vaisakha, April and May, around the year 1507 AD at Mamgachchi, situated in the island of Modadrum Navadvip. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur appeared a few years after Lord Chaitanya had accepted his sannyas initiation. His father was a Brahmin named Vaikuntanath, whose ancestors had originally hailed from Sylhet, Bangladesh. Yeah. The Thakur's mother was Narayani Devi, who was a niece of Srivas Pandit. She was Nalina Pandita's daughter. Srila Vrindavan Das has not mentioned much about his father in any of his writings. It might be due to the reason that his father had passed away while he was still in Narayani Devi's womb. Some others say that he made no mention of his father anywhere, as his father had never fully surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Malini Devi, wife of Srivas Pandit, had her ancestral home here at Mamgachi. Sri Vaikuntanath was a descendant of her family. Hence, after marriage, Srimati Narayani Devi had moved over to Mamgachi to reside with her in-laws in Malini Devi's ancestral home. In course of time, Narayani Devi gave birth to the great Vaishnavacharya Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Srimati Malini Devi's ancestral property is today renowned as the Sripat of Srila Vrindavan Das, and over here, the worshipable Gornitai deities of the Thakur are being diligently worshipped till this day. Srimati Narayani Devi, the Thakur's mother, was showered with special mercy by Lord Chaitanya while she was just a little child. Once, while Sri Gaurasundara was manifesting his divine pastimes at the Srivasangan, he ordered little Narayani, who was then just 4 years old, to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna and cry in ecstasy. Receiving the Lord's mercy, little Narayani immediately chanted the holy name and fainted onto the ground, being overwhelmed with ecstatic emotions. Tears of love streamed down her eyes and flooded the ground. 4 years old. The pastime has been very nicely captured by Srila Vrindavan Das in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. It's in, yeah, we won't read that.
Yeah.
Sri Kavi Karnapur reveals in Gora Ganadesh Dipika that Kilimbika, the sister of Krishna's nurse, Ambika, appeared as Narayani Devi in Gora Lila. She is an eternal associate of the Lord. Srila Vrindavan Thakur lived in Mamgachi till he reached Poganda, age of 10. He studied over here, and was nourished and raised up like a little gem. At the age of 16, he was initiated by Lord Nityananda. Of course, of time, he was ordered by Nityananda Prabhu to settle down here in Dinur, a village in the Monteshwar block of the Burdwan district. It was here at Dinur that our Thakur had composed a sublime Chaitanya Bhagavat.
And this you can skip. Next again another link to Denur there.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, right. There once lived a person named Ramhari Chakrabarti, who was a landlord here in Dinur. He accepted Lord Nityananda as his guru and contemplated upon his captivating form day and night. His only desire was to serve the lotus feet of Doyal Nitai. On one auspicious day, Sri Ramhari noticed a lot of devotees approaching the village. Some of them wore blue dhotis, some wore white, while others adorned saffron, the three preferred colors of Vaishnavas. As the colorful crowd, it must have been colorful indeed, as the colorful crowd drew nearer, Ramhari realized to his surprise that Sri Nityananda Prabhu was himself present among them. Ramhari fell down like a rod at the lotus feet of his guru and wept tears of joy. He began to ponder on what pious deed he had previously performed to live to see this day. Ramhari invited Sri Nityananda and all the devotees to accept prasadam at his residence. But Nityananda Prabhu explained that the huge number of devotees could not be all accommodated at Ramhari's house. Hence, he ordered Ramhari to bring some rice and lentils so that the devotees could cook some Khichdi prasadam, and honor it over there itself. After Sri Nityananda Prabhu had accepted his prasadam, he asked his servitor Srila Vrindavan Das for some haritaki fruit, harikanat. Yeah, a digestive mouth freshener that is commonly taken after meals. Yeah. Immediately, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur took it out of his dhoti and offered it to Lord Nityananda. I guess he knew. However, Nityananda Prabhu was surprised at how Srila Vrindavan fetched it so quickly and inquired about it. Sri Vrindavan Das then clarified that he kept it with him since morning, as he knew that Lord Nityananda would require it after taking his lunch. After hearing this, Sri Nityananda Prabhu seemed to get angry at Vrindavan Das' habit of accumulating and saving things for a later time. Wow. Lord Nityananda stressed that a devotee, especially those who are renounced, should completely depend on Krishna's mercy, should completely depend on Krishna's mercy, should completely depend on Krishna's mercy, and should not save for the future. Lord Nityananda then rebuked Srila Vrindavan Das and ordered him to stay back at Dinur and perform his bhajan over here. I guess this was written over there. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur cried piteously as he couldn't bear the thought of separating from his beloved spiritual master. But accepting Nityananda Prabhu's instruction as his very heart and soul and understanding the desire of the Lord, Srila Vrindavan Das stayed back at Dinur. Though apparently it might seem to one that Lord Nityananda had punished Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur, instead he had actually blessed him in disguise. Many blessings in disguise. Sri Vrindavan Das was one of his dearest disciples whom he had empowered to preach and narrate the heart-melting pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Nityananda wanted his dear disciples to assist him in carrying out Lord Chaitanya's orders to preach all over Bengal. Hence, he desired Srila Vrindavan Das to stay back and preach, making Dinu his headquarters. Sri Nityananda's anger was thus a shower of his causeless mercy. The haritaki fruit which Sri Nityananda chewed and threw to the ground in Denur blossomed into a beautiful tree which exists here even today. Lord Nityananda's lotus footprints are preserved just beside the haritaki tree, the Gaudiya treasures of
Yeah,
Bengal.
again. After that, this is the end, I think.
That's the
After that,
end.
they have a description of Denur and deities.
I see. Okay. So last short paragraph here. We're going a little over time, but we'll, I think, be forgiven. Denur is a beautiful. Oh.
Yeah, they're describing Denur and
Oh, I see. The rest is about Denur.
yeah, it's
Okay.
about the place.
So, anyways, if we want to know about Denur, we should go there.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Taking Sri Nityananda's instructions as his heart and soul, Srila Vrindavan Das began residing here at Denur. His worshipable deities are preserved and daily served here with due diligence. Jai Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki
Jai.
Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai. Okay.